Hey, how you doing? This is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show. And I'm kind of stuck in the house because of the storms that are going on outside. And so I thought I would do kind of an introduction into the SDRPlay SDRs. Now, I've had this one, the SDRPlay 1, for over a year now, and I've done lots of videos on it. And it's taken me, as I mentioned in one show, to the dark side, in that I no longer am using analog radios. I'm hooked on these software defined radios using my computer to control the radios. Of course, it can get kind of confusing because you're basically in control of the whole computer and the inside and everything. So you can change lots of variables. Well, about a week ago, I got this one, the SDRPlay 1A, which replaces the 1. The 1 is now discontinued. And the people at SDRPlay, John, sent me this one for testing and reviewing. So I'm excited. It's like an early Christmas present. So I plan on doing a number of shows testing the 1 against the 1A and the 1 by itself and the software. The software has some additional features when you're using the 1A that it doesn't have if you're using the 1. As you can see right now, there's nothing connected to my antenna switch because of the storm. I've disconnected it, and apparently the storm's going to stay around for a couple of days, so I'm kind of going to be delaying my testing and review of these two animals. So I thought I'd get you some non-on-the-air background. Now, most of you are familiar with these items. They've been on the market for several years. Like I said, I got mine one almost exactly a year ago, and now I've got the 1A. So let me go to my screen and show you just a bit of all the documentation there is about these two things. So let's go over here to screen share. Oh, something else I was going to do. Let me get this started first. Let me minimize that and hide that. And we don't need to see that. We're going to go to here. And now I'm going to scoot over to my other computer so that I can watch the show and see if it's working, see if the video is working and everything. So stand by. Okay. I apologize. I never quite get everything set up. It's like a new learning curve every time I do a hangout on the air. Also, I'll mention it right now for forget. Rob 741 and I are planning on doing another hangout on the air early tomorrow morning, probably around 8:15 in the morning. That's when he's available. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of subjects. We had hoped to do some comparison testings of my reception here and his reception up in New England, but the weather's supposed to be bad here, so I probably will leave the antenna off. Anyway, here is the SDRPlay website. Tons of information on this website about these products. And here's where you start. This is SDRplay.com. And if you've just received a radio, one of these SDRs, you go to start here and you register it online. And then you can come over here and look at the various products they have. And I'm just going to touch on that for a second. Okay, there's the RSP1. Looks like an I to me, but it's a 1, which is discontinued. This is the 1A, which I have now. I believe Rob has either the 2 or the Pro, or no, I think he has the Duo, which is the most expensive. They sent him the Duo to review. He's done many, many shows on these products. Yeah, let's go back. Distributors, not important, review, purchase, downloads. Here's a good page. That's one thing about this product or these products is like a number of other products, there's very limited documentation. Well, there's a ton of documentation on their website about these products. Over here is a section on software, the various software packages they have, including versions of HD SDR to run with these SDRs, SDR console version 2.3 and 3.2 to work with these, and some ABS programs like Dump 1090, and an SDR Sharp plugin, which is kind of old. It's kind of old. And then over here are some manuals. They have a nice SDR Uno software user's manual. You know, I'm not going to be showing you that one because I've shown you that one before. I'll be showing you a different one. And then let's see. Up here under software, they got software for all these operating systems. Matter of fact, they had just released a package for the Raspberry Pi, but it's for the Raspberry Pi 3. You need the 3 to have the more power to run the SDR Uno. And then over here is documentation for everything else, software, application notes, all kinds of other things, and data sheets. Now, speaking of data sheets, I have, let me see where we at here. Okay, oh, this is the other thing, is they have their own YouTube channel. SDRPlay Software Defined Receiver is the name of it. And they, of course, do a bunch of videos. A gentleman by the name of Mike, who is their support person, has done a ton of videos showing you how to use these products, how they work. Lots of good information there. Now, let's go over to one of their data sheets. Here's the data sheet for the RSP1. And it tells you all the features of it. I'm not going to go over those because I've went over them before. So there it is. And now they have for the SP1A, and I think it's this one right here, they have a very detailed specification sheet. Again, it's in that download section. You can download this stuff. And it tells you the fact that this one, the frequency, the 1A, the frequency range is 1 kilohertz to 2 gigahertz. Not 10 kilohertz, not 100 kilohertz, 1 gigahertz. Really wide band. And the fact that it does have a bias T voltage output or driving a preamplifier. And then here, all kinds of specs about its performance. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. I mean, they have done a lot of research. Here's a block diagram. Now, in this block diagram, this shows you that it has the 1A has the bias T, as I just mentioned, plus it has a medium wave and FM and DAP filters that you can turn on and off. It also has a front-end gain control that you can adjust. And then it has all these filters here. RF tuner, A to D converter, and USB output port. Here is some graphs of the filters to show you how effective the filters are. And I on my RSP1, that's one thing it suffered from is overload from medium wave stations. Here locally, that was my problem locally. And so I bought, and you saw in my desktop shot, the RTL-SDR.com external filter that I had to use on that one. Now I don't have to use it. Here's the FM notch filter. Here's a 0 to 2 megahertz low pass filter. Here's another filter, and here's all their filters. And all, I mean, you can read the specs until you go blind. So that's another thing that they have available. Now, let's go back to the top of this page. And nope, that's not what I wanted. The major differences, and you'll see more details when I go to another document. The major differences is, like was shown in the diagram. Where did the diagram go? Right here is these filters, the gain control, and the bias T. There are other things that they've improved over the 1. Now, the price of the 1A now is about the same price that the 1 ended up. They were discounting the 1. That's when I got mine because they were bringing out the 1A. So the starting price of the 1A is $99. Now, you have taxes and shipping on top of that. You can get that directly from the UK, from their site. Or if you're in the United States, you can now get it from the ham radio outlet store. It's a little more there. I think it's $119, and sometimes it's on sale for a little less. So if you're in the United States, you can get it faster because it doesn't have to be shipped overseas. From the time that I got the notification that it was being shipped, it got to my house in 5 days from the UK. So that was pretty good service. Anyway, now let's go to, okay, I have one more document here I want to show you. I'm going to look over my shoulder and make sure that I am broadcasting. And this is, we go back to the top. I had already scanned down. Oh boy, I am so disorganized. There we go. I'm just going to look in the chat room for a second, see if there's anybody. Oh, there's 741. Thanks for stopping by. I hadn't really planned for this to be a scheduled program hangout, so I'm not surprised there's not that many people in the hangout. Actually, there's just 5 or 6 people watching, and I was just using the hangout forum to capture both my camera and my screen. That's the advantage of that. So here is a book for the SDR Uno. Now, this is the software that they provide with it. They provide it free with their products. And this is by Paul and Mike. Now, Mike is the person that's been helping me and answering some questions like how can I get both radios running at the same time, and what are some of the features that are different. And he pointed me to this book. Now, this book, and this is another one of the downloads that you can download from their website. It's a little bit behind in that this is only SDR Uno 1.22. There is a 1.23 for the 1 and the 1A, and there's a 1.24 for the Duo, and it's probably for the 2 and the Pro also. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. Again, you can get this and read about it. So you can get a lot of information on these products even before you buy one. And I'll tell you right now, you got to buy one of these. If you're into SDRs, this is the way to go. It's a good price, $99. Now, you can use the RTL SDR.com dongle. That's only $20. That does a pretty good job, but this one does an excellent job, especially on HF, shortwave. All right, here's an intro, and then I want to jump down to a couple of things and show you. Okay, now here is something, and see, let me shrink this down a little bit. It's a little big. Maybe that's too small. Okay, here is the main screen in SDR Uno. And here he's showing you the differences between what you'll see with an RSP1, a RSP2 in Pro, and RSP1. Unfortunately, I wish he had the RSP1 up at the top, but he doesn't. So here it is the minimum, which is what you'll get on RSP1 as far as these controls on this window. And so you got LNA, AGC, the bandwidth, and the decimation, which is the division factor for this bandwidth. And then you got IFA gain reduction, keyword reduction. This works backwards than you think. But then when you come down here, this is the 1A. You now have the bias T, which you can turn on and off. You have some filters here, additional filters, medium wave, FM, and DAP. So that's the big, it jumps out in your face difference between the 1 and 1A. And so with this right here, this built-in filter that you can turn on and off, you no longer need this external filter that I've added for the R1. Don't need it. Let's go down here a little more. Like I say, I'm not going to go through all of this because it's massive. There's a lot of stuff you can go through here. I'm just kind of mainly, I'm just trying to show you where stuff is, so you can read up on your own, make your own decision where you want to get one of these. I think that's about all I wanted to show you in this cookbook. But the cookbook is in addition to the handbook, or not handbook, the manual for RSP Play, RS. Get in a minute. RDS Uno, the software. Okay. And then it shows all these options. And I got a lot of reading to do because there's so many options. I struggle. Rob 741 has helped me immensely. I've gotten stuck in a couple areas and I couldn't figure it out. He's been able to help me out. And then here's some new options with the new version, 1.22, and of course it's in 1.23 and 4, is this band selection on the buttons. And you can select the band up here, and then it'll show you these three options, either broadcast, long wave, and medium wave, where you can you can select 31 meter, and it'll tune the radio right to that band. It'll set the bandwidth for you and everything. Same thing with 2 ham bands, upper and lower ham bands. Very nice feature. Here's some extra controls. I'm still learning these extra controls. So what happens when you change the AGC, what happens when you change the noise blanker, the noise reduction, and other things. I'm still learning how to optimize that. Now, one thing I'm going to have to, what I plan on doing as far as my side-by-side testing is I'm going to run 2 copies of SDR Uno. And I've got to make sure when I start that I get all these, and this is just one screen, all these mini options set identical, all these. Because I noticed when I was doing some testing the other day, I had these different. Because now that I've got 2 receivers, when I open SDR Uno for the first time, it gives me an option which 2 receivers I want to connect to. So I'll say like the 1A. And then when I open the second copy of SDR Uno, it automatically knows, okay, there's only 1 receiver left, so I'm going to choose that. So they're really 2 different setups. So you got to be careful about that, and I got to go back and set up all those options to the same. I think that's all about all I want to cover on this. Again, a wealth of information. A lot. This is the RDS info it will provide for you when you're listening to FM radio with RDS. And then it also talks about some other programs. If you want to use some other programs such as HD SDR. Okay, so that's about it. Let me get back to here, and I'll stop sharing, and then it should come back. Okay, I come back to my video. So I've got my setup here. This is the external filter I was talking about that I had to use on the SDR. I mean the SP1. Don't need it for this. It's built in. So I've got my antenna switch. I got a different switch than I had before. I'm having a little problem with the one I had before. It'll go into my G5RB antenna, which is now like soaked because of all the rain. So I don't want to hook it up. And there are a little differences. There's always some differences. But in order to get these side by side, I had to use this extended cable, which comes around here to here. So this radio has that extra cable. I will be doing some quick testing offline to verify that is not adding any major reduction of the signals. So I'll do some switching out here and see if it makes any difference. If it does, maybe I'll have to get another cable, short cable, and add it to this side so they're equal, but I don't think that's a problem. It's such a short run. I don't think it's a problem. I think that's about it. That's kind of just wanted to show you. And of course the phone rings. So I guess it's time to stop the show when the phone rings. I'm going to let it ring. And let me go look in the chat room in case anybody's. I can't believe how many of these robo calls we get. I mean, I'd say 6 or 8 a day, just doing all kinds of stuff. So let me look at the chat room and see if we have any comments. All right, we have a couple of comments here. Rob says, got to go to work. And Flint Talk 1 says, hi, time from Tom from the UK. Okay, I think we are caught up. And I think, thank you, those people that stopped by. You know, like I say, I didn't schedule this. This was mainly to use this format so that I could capture this. And on my screen, wow, not very clear picture. I hope it's better on the than what you're looking at. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, Rob and I will do a hangout tomorrow morning, starting at 8:15 in the morning, Eastern Daylight Time. Have a great holidays, and thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed my show, please give me a thumbs up, and we'll say goodbye.